Hi, welcome to the table. My name's Steve Rain.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And I'm Mark Windle.
And in this video we're talking about the Kennerspiel Jahres nominees for this year, 2018. The three nominees are, in the English way of saying these games, you've got Pretty Clever, you've got The Quacks of Quedlinburg, and you've got Heaven and Hell. We're going to talk about each of the games, roughly what the game's about, what we like and dislike about the games, and then at the very end we're going to say which one's our personal favourite and which one we think's going to win, which is rarely the same game for each of us. The first game we're going to talk about is Pretty Clever, and Mark's going to talk through about that.
Pretty Clever is Pretty Clever. It's a roll and write game, so you're rolling dice, marking stuff on a sheet. You've got 6 dice, all of different colours, and you're going to, over the course of your round, it'd be taking 3 of them. So you're going to roll all the dice, and say, for example, you took a 3. If you take a 3 at that point, all the 1s and 2s that you might have rolled, you can no longer take. So you're limiting your choice of dice. So you might want that 6 really early on, but you're just not going to be able to take anything 5 or below. So unless you've managed to roll 6 6s, you're going to be in trouble. They've all got different combination scoring, which is quite nice that you take on the sheet. For example, purple's a nice one. You start at any number that you roll, and the next number you have to play has to be higher than the previous one. And once you hit 6, you can start from 1 again. So you're looping round. Orange is like a wild. Another interesting is blue, which uses the combination of the blue and white dice. So if you might choose that round. Now, do I want the blue? And then the white's still available, which is a wild, so you can play everywhere. Or do I take the wild and then it leaves me the blue? So there's lots of choices. The main thing that makes it work really well is how everything combos together. So say I get a certain part for the purple thing, it might say I can now mark one off from the blue area. So you're then comboing, doing multiple ones, and there's loads of variations. Things that give you like +1 to a dice or re-rolls. And there's also like little foxes, and they end up being a combination of the number of foxes that you've scored up to multiplied by your lowest number. So you watch that, because I've seen a lot of people score really high on that, and people might have done really good at covering lots of areas, but they haven't got the greatest combination. The lowest ones let them down.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing. You can't just kind of max out one particular colour, because to get a really great score you need some points from your foxes, and if I've scored 20, 20, 20, 25 for my 5 colours, all my foxes will be worth 5. So you've really got to focus on not just doing really well in every colour, but kind of balancing those together.
I find usually when I first explain this one, people are kind of like, how does that work again? It's one of those you sort of have to see to a certain extent. But effectively, once you start playing it, it's very straightforward. It's like Yahtzee, so you're getting 3 rolls and you just pick a dice each time. The really nice thing though is that you're picking dice on other people's turns. So after someone's rolled and they pick whatever dice they're having, everyone else gets to pick one of the dice that they didn't use, one of the ones that was locked because they were the lower dice. And that's really nice because you're invested on everyone else's turn. So you're not just sitting there waiting for your turn to come around. It's like, oh, what's he going to roll because I could use this here, or maybe I could use that.
Take that one,
yeah. So they do it really well.
You can play silver tongue. You can say, well, you should probably take the purple 3, hoping that they leave the yellow 2 for you to kind of borrow later. But the chaining the action is really good as well. For on every track, on every board, not only are you scoring points through different ways, and they all score points in a different way and so on, but underneath certain spots there might be put an X in the blue section, put a 6 in the purple section. So you can kind of go, oh, so I'm going to take this 4, put in the blue section, that's to get me to purple 6. The purple 6 goes here, gets me a +1, which allows me to reactivate this dice, which gets me the yellow 3, which gets me 10 points or something.
It definitely explodes towards the end. You think you get to about almost the last round, you think, I'm not going to fill much. In the last round, you end up doing just tons and tons and tons, and you'll increase your points by so much in that.
Halfway through the game, you feel like you've done nothing.
Yeah. It's really nicely done, that. The build, the way it leads up to some really great combos near the end.
Yeah, and I like what Jonathan says, the investing on other people's turn, kind of looking what they can take. So they're halfway through their turn, they've already locked a 3 and a 1, and you're like, well, do I take the 3, do I take the 1? And you can be planning your combo turn while they're still finishing off their go.
It's one of those, when I first played it, I was like, it's okay. But then I sort of ended up playing it again, and the more I played it, the more I liked it, and the more everyone else seems to like it. It just seems to be getting played and played and played. For such a little kind of inconspicuous game, it seems to really pack a punch. It's gone down really well.
The first 4 or 5 games I played, I progressively got a better score. My first score was like 123, and now I don't see anyone scoring that low. I just didn't know what I was doing the first time I played it, and then you can kind of see when I play again and I do this combo turn, other people go, oh yeah, I could do that, and then you kind of look at what other people are doing, even if it's your first game, and you see what the potential for massive turns is, and you can, I can then plan ahead myself.
We always end up debating after each game. So, do you reckon the purple's the best, or are the blues the best? And we can I like to go for the yellows personally. So everyone has their own little strategy.
I think the way they've structured the bonuses means that every colour is balanced to some extent.
Yeah.
And like you say, you can't just think, the yellows are the best, I'll just go for yellows, because the foxes. You've got to get points in every colour so that you're getting 20 odd points in every colour, so that every fox you get is worth much more than other people's foxes. That's absolutely nice.
That's very good.
So the second game we got the German edition, so we printed off some English rules and so on. That's the Quacksalber von Quedlinburg, or the Quacks of Quedlinburg, and effectively you're quack doctors and you're coming into this town and people say, well, I'm a bit lovesick, or I've got colour blindness, and you say, I've got a potion for that, and you make these potions up. Well, therein lies the theme anyway. And effectively what you're doing, you've got a little bag of resources, of ingredients, and on your turn you pull one out, everyone pulls one out, you pop it in your potion, and then you continue. But at any point you can stop, and the reason to stop is that you've got these cherry blossoms, or cherry bombs, or whatever they're called, the white ones, and as soon as you get so many ingredients, so many of the white ones in your potion, it explodes, and you have to stop. And so it's a bit of a push your luck / bag builder game, but the different types of ingredients you can get do different things. So when you pull out a blue chip, all that allows you to do this, or when you pull out a purple chip, all at the end of the round, you'll score extra points, or you'll do extra things. And then basically you make your potion and everyone decides either to keep going or they stop. And at the end of the round you kind of go through scoring. But the nice thing is, wherever you stop to, you kind of spiral out, and the space you stop to gives you victory points and like a value of your potion, how good your potion is. And how good your potion is allows you to buy other ingredients, and they're priced, again, I think they've been balanced very well, they're priced very well, and you can different sorts of chips. Or you can get the victory points. However, if your potion didn't explode, you get to do both. So you kind of like, I'm just going to keep going and get as much money as I can, but you won't score the victory points. And the victory points is how you win the game. And so you play this over like 9 rounds, trying to get the best potion you got, and progressively over the 9 rounds you're getting more and more ingredients in your bag, and you go further and further around the spiral before you get close to busting, and most points is the winner.
It's really nicely done actually, because with most push your luck games, it can feel like the difference between succeeding or failing is really great. You know, if you manage to succeed, it's like, I'm going to do really well. But if you go too far and you go bust, it's like, I've got nothing. But in this, you still get to do something pretty significant. Even if you go bust, you choose either you get to spend money on better ingredients, or you get the points. And early on in the game, you're not scoring many points anyway. So actually, sacrificing the points early on doesn't really matter. The main thing is you want to get the money to buy the extra ingredients to kind of build your engine. But later on in the game, it becomes far more important. So you can quite happily push your luck, I think, to start with, but then towards the end you need to think far more carefully about it.
You can push your luck on the end as well, apart from the very last round. You can push your luck on the end. It's like, I'm going to keep going. So what if I bust? That even when you bust, you're still progressing further around the track and getting more points.
Yeah.
You might just sacrifice points, is all I want this round.
If you think your engine's there.
Yeah. I don't want any more ingredients.
Yeah.
And they've done a very good job at changing the variability in the game. You've got different sets of ingredients. You've always got like 7 different colours. You always play with the orange and the black with the rules they've got, but all the other ingredients, there's 4 different ways of playing. So on this particular game, the yellow ingredient does this when you add it to your pot, but you flip it over. On this particular game, it does something else. And the other thing you've got different values. So like I said, when you've got a certain amount of cherry blossoms in your potion, you bust, and that value's 7. But in the starting bag, you've got 4 1s, 2 2s, and a 3. So you're like, it's a 2. It's another 2, so if I draw my 3 now, I'm going to bust. If I've got 14 chips in my back, I'm not going to draw my 3 next. Or are you? So if you can't mitigate that, there are ways to mitigate it. If you kind of have let yourself down and not giving yourself a chance to mitigate it, you can have a really bad draw. But you get to this point where you're like, 1 out of 14 I'm going to bust? And you keep going, and you get that nice tension you've got.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of many Euro games that have that push your luck, because obviously a lot of people like to know exact things, and that completely throws that wide out of the arena. So some people are going to dislike it because of that. I think it makes it something different, because the tension as you're pulling them out is palpable. Everybody knows, oh, you just get the wrong combination early on. How long do I push my luck? And the best of all is in the final round where you have to play it simultaneous. So you get down to 2 players, both removing them one at a time, and they're both kind of staring each other out like a gunfight because they know they need to push further than the other player.
Yeah.
Since I've played it with you two, we've played all our games simultaneously, and I prefer it that way.
You think it works better?
I think you should do that. As long as you're not playing with slow people, you should go 3, 2, 1, pull. And if you want to drop out, if you want to pass, you put your hand in and pull out nothing, and then you pass.
Okay.
And this works out quite well. You don't get this point, well, he's already stopped, and I've been really slow at pulling mine out, so I know exactly what I need to get the best potion. I know exactly what I need. And I think pulling out simultaneously is the better way of doing it.
I can see that, yeah, definitely.
How do you feel it fares in terms of the luck factor? Because you can just get a bad draw, can't you? And someone can get a good draw and seemingly do really well. How swingy is it in that sense?
That would be my criticism of the game. In the very last round, you can convert your cash that you buy ingredients to points. And if you bust on the last round, you can only do one of those 2 things, you see. Okay. And so I find if you have a really bad last round, it can be really swingy in that. Because I haven't bust. I can score both my things. You have bust. Because you drew a 2 and a 3 really early on,
so it makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I really like the combination of ingredients you've got, the variability you've got to kind of you combo off, and a bit like a deck builder. You think, that draws me more cards, and that does this one, and this one. He's like, well, that works off pumpkins, and I'll also buy some pumpkins. It's quite nice.
Yeah. And I think it's also straightforward to play with people who are new to it.
Yes.
Because you can just say, okay, we've just got this set of ingredients. This one does this one does this one does this. And to start with, it's really easy. Okay, fine.
And it does well with that.
And you put it on.
And the fact that you don't have all the ingredient ability straight away. Yes.
Well,
So you get a bit of a slower walk into it.
Yeah, it's good. The final nominee then is Heaven and Ale, which has been out for a little while, actually, longer than the other 2, I think. And essentially, it's one of these where you're going round the outside of the board picking up resources, and you only go around the board once. But you can stop on any spot you like and go as far as you want, but whatever spot you land on, you take the stuff, but then you can't go back. So you can need to think, do I want to go slowly and pick up lots of things? Or do I want to try and rush ahead to get the really good spots? And everyone else is kind of racing for these spots. If someone takes a spot, then there's nothing there for you to go. So it has that as the sort of central mechanic. What you're aiming to do, though, is a little bit tricky to explain. I think the theme is supposed to be your monks brewing beer or something like this.
And you're trying to age the resources.
That's right. So you've got all these different kinds of ingredients, like the hops and the
yeast, and you've got wood for the barrels.
That's right. The way the scoring works, which you really need to understand for this game, is as you go round, you can effectively acquire different amounts of these different ingredients. So you get a certain amount of wood and a certain amount of hops and everything else. And at the end of the game, you look at which of these resources you have the least of. You don't spend them; they're just sort of tracking how good your beer is. Okay, and you take the lowest value and multiply it by where your brewer has got to, if you like, your brewing monk, how far he's got along his track. So you have all these different resources plus your brewer, you're trying to advance along these tracks. And then at the end you get this kind of multiplying thing which gets you hopefully lots of points. So where that brewer is very important because it's multiplying.
If you get your brewer really far but none of your resources, you go, I'm 5 lots of nothing. Or if you get your resources really far, you go, you get like 1 lot of 12.
And that's happened to me before playing this game. In terms of how you play it, though, when you're getting resources by moving around the board, you have your own player board. And so you might get a hops token, and you can either put it on the right half of your board, which lets you get money when you activate it, and you need money to buy the things when you land on the spaces. Or you can put it on the other half of the board, which is how you're advancing your different sets of resources. So there's a really nice tension between, I need money to buy more of the tiles, but really, I need all the different types of resources in order to score points at the end. So there's that. At some point, you need to, generally need to go for the money to start with, but at some point you need to kind of switch and be like, I'm not going to need too much money now for the rest of the game, but I need to make sure I get all these points. It's often very difficult to decide for this one token, do I put it on the money side or on the resources side? But it creates some really nice tensions, I think, all the way through.
You've got these scoring tokens as well, and so these are the ones that don't pile up. All the other stuff kind of piles up as you're going. So if no one takes this spot, there'll be 2 things there next time. But the scoring tokens allow you to activate bits on your board. So I could take the scoring tile for wood, or the scoring tile for this monk, or the scoring tile for all the numbers with 3 on it. And when you do that, you trigger everything on your board. So if it's on the cash side, you'll get cash. If it's on the resource side, you'll move your tracks up. But they are so fought over.
Yeah.
You've got to be very careful. And when you say you have to rush ahead, you're like, I kind of want this piece, but he's going to want that scoring tile. Is he going to jump all that way ahead of me? Do I need to get this now and forgo this piece I want? Because scoring tiles are how you move things around, how you get your money back. If you haven't got money, you can't buy anything. And in terms of money, I think it's a very good money management game because money is tight, but it's only tight because you're making it tight. You're like, okay, I've got 10 money, I can buy this for 6 and put it here, or this for 3 and put it there. Well, let's buy it for 6, now I've only got 4 money left, which means I need to get my money back. But if I'd have put it there, I'd have got more money. So you can get loads of money, but you won't be doing very well in the context of the game, and I quite like that.
Because like the combination of the tiles, when you get 2 of them, you then get to take one of you've got personal bonus tiles. One of them gives you a lot of money, which is really handy early on, but maximize, I suppose if you could manage to get away without taking that tile, you're then giving yourself more points later on, because there's various scoring. There's a lot to it. I mean, certainly because being aware of what everybody else is doing is so important. Thinking what do they want is because somebody might decide just to skip half the board.
Yeah.
And that changes that round. Everybody goes, he's could have done that, and why is he? And that's what am we going to do now?
You can jump halfway around and then pick up lots of little ones that no one's near because they haven't jumped all the way around. I quite like it because, like in certain Euro games, you get this like engine built, and here you can not quite build an engine, but you can. I'll buy this wood piece and this wood piece and this wood piece. So when I score wood, I'm going to get lots of stuff, but you can only score it once.
Yeah.
You can score different ways of scoring the same bits of wood, but you can only score wood once. So what you can't do is spend the whole game thinking, I'm going to be the wood king, and I'm going to, kind of go around and churn this wood engine going, because you can only score, and you have to score different things every time.
You want to pick up the high numbered tiles, I think, to get lots of money effectively early, but the problem is the higher the number is on the tile, the more you've got to pay for it. So there's this trade-off between that, and obviously a high number if you put it on the resources side, but you're getting loads of resources. So there's just tensions at every turn. It's like, oh, I want this, I also want this, and I'm not quite sure what to put for. They also have these gold tiles that you're kind of racing for. So the first person to get all their resources to a certain level, or the first person to put so many of a certain kind of tile down.
Or score all the monks or anything. Yeah. All the things you can do, everything in the game. So you can fill all this or fill all that or do all that. First person to do it can go to the scoring space and do it. And you can pick up as many scoring things as you've completed as well.
Yeah. So has the interaction in a good way that I really like in Euros, where you're paying attention to what everyone else is doing, because you're looking at her board and thinking, right, she is probably going to take this, get your resources to a certain level token, can I beat her to it in order to score the thing I need to score? So that works really well.
I'm like wondering if they're going to are they going to stop halfway before going to the scoring tile, or are they going to go straight there and gazump you to it? Which one works more in their favour?
It's one of those, again, doesn't look that impressive, I think, but the more I've played it, the more I've enjoyed it. I found people's reactions have been a bit mixed on this one, but I've loved it. I've had a really great time playing this one.
So I've played it like 4 or 5 times now, and it's a good game with lots of good decisions. And you always have a decision on your turn. But for me, the decisions are very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, well, okay, that's a 6 sweet, and this isn't that, whatever. And I've always got a decision, which is a great sign in a game, but the replayability compared to at least the Quacksalber version, that there's no... This game has a different flavour. This game, I'm doing the same decisions. I'm trying to be as best I can. The only replayability is where the tokens come out, but they're the same tokens every game.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be my criticism of the game, I think.
One issue with it, I think, in terms of whether or not it's going to win the Kennerspiel, is that it's quite heavy for Kennerspiel. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as a heavy Euro. It's maybe medium to heavy, but...
So the first game I played of it, someone ran out of money.
Yeah.
They scored everything too early. They'd scored everything. They had no space for more scoring tiles, and they had no money. So the last round of a 6-round game just was like, I can't do anything. I'll just go all the way around.
Yeah.
So a game that can get you into that position, that person probably won't want to play that game again because they didn't do very well. It wasn't necessarily the game's fault. They played by the rules. We didn't get any rules wrong. It's just like if you can get yourself into that position, it's not great. I think
you really need to think ahead. So it's not. The learning curve's quite steep on it, I suppose.
While the scoring's less, compared to Clever, where that's got lots of scoring point around. This is, you've got to be aware of all getting everything up in this. So it isn't necessarily combo scoring in this, but you've just got to make sure you do a bit of everything, making sure you're pushing it. And you and you can just be done in on one of those tracks if you just in the wrong place, the wrong time.
Yeah.
You never pick up this particular resource. They went really early and you never got them, and then you have to wait for several rounds for you to get.
You never see one of those bonus tokens or something like that.
I think you need to have played a game or two before you realise what are the important things you need to fight over, because you really need to fight over them, otherwise they're just going to be gone before you get there.
I think you just need to play it once and you get the idea of it, but like for what should win Game of the Year, I don't think that should be the case. I think I should be able to play a Game of the Year. And, but we'll see.
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah, go on.
So there are the 3 games. You can see what our opinions are. And in my opinion, personally, this is a very good set of 3 games this year. Sometimes there are 2 games I think are very good, and the third one's a bit meh. Here, I actually quite like all the games.
From the sounds of them, when they were first explained to me, I was like, this sounds all right. But actually, having played them, I think they were a lot better than they appear to be.
And that was true for all 3 games for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's quite a standout year like it was last year, but I think that was, pandemic and the escape room games. I think that was something inevitable in the industry. But these are, as far as a solid line of 3 games.
So we're going to go down the row. What was your favourite game, Mark?
Pretty Clever. It's the one that I would quite happily go out and buy. It's cheap, not just for the price though. Even if they're all the same price, it's the one I've had the most fun playing. I can see me playing the most as well with a larger range of people, which I still think Kennerspiel has to be able. I know it's not the family game, but it still's got to appeal to a large range of people, I think.
My favourite game was Pretty Clever as well. It's the game I've played the most, and it's also the game I can see myself playing the most in the future.
After one play of each of them, Heaven and Hell was my favourite. But having played them more, actually Pretty Clever is now my favourite. It's just grown and grown and grown. It's the simplicity of it, plus that depth, and all the combos. The combos are just so satisfying. So yeah, that'd be my favourite too.
And now the bit that Jonathan always gets wrong. Which one do we think is going to actually win the awards? Again, Mark?
Right, I think it's going to be the Quacks, because I don't think it'll go to a roll and write game, and I think Heaven and Hell is too heavy. So I think that leaves that as the actual option.
I don't think it can be Heaven and Hell, but why wouldn't you think it's
I just can't see a roll and write game winning it. I just personally can't see a roll and write game winning it.
Okay.
But
I agree with Mark's thinking, but I do think Heaven and Hell will win.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, definitely not that one. I just think it's too heavy.
That was my first thought after playing Heaven and Hell first and not the other 2 is that this can't win. But having played all 3 and enjoying all 3, I think Heaven and Hell will win.
I think the Quacks. I think there's too much going on in the Quacks.
You've only played it once, though.
I know.
Matt's played it 6 times in 2 days.
But it's all the variability of all the different tiles.
If it was written in English, it wouldn't be a problem.
I think it's fine for a. No, but it's. I'm just trying to think of the audience they're aiming for. Although the Kennerspiel is supposed to be a heavier weight than the Spiel. I mean, the Spiel is really very entry-level gateway games. The Kennerspiel is supposed to be one step up from that. It's not meant to be heavy Euros. And both Quacks and Heaven and Hell just feel just a bit too heavy. Like I could see them being, obviously they've been nominated, and in previous years things like Terraforming Mars have been nominated, but I think just too heavy to win.
Didn't Village win?
Yeah,
that's about as heavy. That's about as heavy as Heaven and Hell. But just previous winners have just been light, so Istanbul and Isle of Skye.
Yeah, that's right. Seven Wonders was your opening Kennerspiel.
Yeah.
So
and then it went to Village, and then it's gone lighter again. But I think they're all good games, and I think Heaven and Hell is going. Well,
my pick, which is going to be wrong, is Pretty Clever.
I feel confident now. I've gone different to Jonathan.
We've all gone for a different one, haven't we?
Yeah. So one of us will get right. But yeah, anyway, that's the Kennerspiel Jahres. If you've not played any, hopefully our experience, our comments have inspired you to go and try them, because they all are very good games in different extents, and you're going to have different favourites yourself. But if you have a prediction which is your favourite and which one you think is going to win, it can't be different to ours, but who do you agree with? Do you agree with Mark and the Quacksalber, himself and Heaven and Hell, or do you think it's going to be Pretty Clever? Have a say underneath. And anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Steve.
Jonathan.
Hello, Mark.
See you.